Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. John Oda. I'm the founder of a PNBC Group, which is a personal development, business, and mental health. And guys, I have a privilege and honor of having my dear friend, my mentor, who have taught me literally everything about business for the last 10,000 years. Welcome, Carl Scott. Carl, how you doing
Hey, how you doing? I'm
today, my
Carl
young friend?
Scott. How you doing, buddy?
So, you know, before we get inside your greatness,
My
and
great.
the number one reasons why I wanted to do this program because I know that teens are out of school, and I consider teens between the ages of 11 to 25. So you got from middle school, high school, grade school, college, the whole 9 yards, right? And the concept is, what are you
Yes.
going to do in the summertime? So a lot of times,
hmm
parents, they send them to sports stuff, spend crazy amount of money for sports. They do summer school, but they don't work on the mindset. They don't work on the behavior challenge that we see. So my question that I have is for you. I know you have a case study that because you still work, right?
Yes.
What was some of your craziest case studies of that you've seen in the last month that
Well, let me
parents can
tell you.
actually relate to?
Well, one of the things that is pretty common in terms of, and this is for this to be common is what's amazing. But this is common that I had a case, and I have many of these cases, but one particular case I had where the mother and father brought their 15-year-old daughter to the emergency room for psychiatric evaluation because they presented that they took the child's phone away. They took their cell phone away. And as a result of taking the cell phone away, the child reported to them that they were suicidal. So so when they got to the emergency room and I started the assessment, I asked the parents, why did you take the phone away? What led up to that? And they said the child was using the phone at night, uh, doing nude pictures, sending them to classmates, but also sending them to anybody who could get on that get on that site. Anybody could see it. Men, anybody. So they were, of course, concerned and they understood the fact that if we let this go on, this kid could be in danger. So yes,
So,
they took the phone.
so she was 15 years old, sending nude pictures
15
to
years.
classmates and to
Yes.
older guys on the internet.
Yeah, an older guy saying that they were teens, but this happens all the time. So now I asked the child about what was going on, and the child said, all of my friends are doing this. This is something that we do. This is not anything that unusual. I don't let anybody into my site. They think I got a private site that only certain people can get in and blah blah blah. And the parents are overreacting. I said, well, then why are you talking about being suicidal? Well, that's the only way I can get them to react. That's the only way I can get them to mm, come back to me and possibly give me my phone back. So this is the typical kind of thing that we see. Now we have to hospitalize her because she made that statement. Or sometimes they cut their wrist, or sometimes they, do something. I'm going to walk out into traffic, or all these kinds of things they say, and sometimes they do some of those things. They attempt
So,
them.
so when they do the assessment, and you do the assessment, I
hmm
understand the process. And when they go to the hospital, back in the day when we were doing it, these kids would be in the hospital for 2 weeks to 6 weeks. In residential, they'd be there for a long period of time. What is the average
No,
stay
they're
of the hospitals right now?
3 to 5 days. That's it. They're in the hospital 3 to 5
3 to 5 days.
days just for the acute issue to be subsided, and they are now more stable. And the work has to be done outside of that realm of the inpatient unit. They have to be done outside of that because that's only 3 to 5 days.
So then, after they get off for 3 to 5 days, what is their? I know they do outpatient private with therapists and everything else. How long is that?
Now, what generally happens is they go back home. The parents are a little more strict about the phone, and it goes pretty good for about 4 or 5 months, and then they're back because they haven't changed anything. So if you didn't change anything, then nothing different is going to happen. So, of course, they walk in on the child in the middle of the night, and she's completely nude, showing pictures to her classmates. So, what do? They do the same thing. Take the phone. She does the same thing. I'm suicidal. You guys are just overreacting. And here we go with that same cycle.
So,
So,
what solution? I mean, so let me tell some people about Carl. Carl been my mentor. I've been in the field for 37 years, and this stuff we face almost on a daily basis, right? And Carl's been doing
yes,
probably this for about the last 100 years. If I've been doing it for 40, he had to be doing at least for 100 years, right?
at least.
So, but what? So it's like the parents are doing the same thing. So it's called insanity. So they're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And the results that
That's right.
they're getting the exact same thing that they came up with. Every 3 to 4 months, if she's doing a great job, or the parents haven't caught her yet because they're not putting down what I consider, what I say is a level system at home. You would, as you'd probably say, I think you mentioned the 5 Ps. So, but they're not doing certain strategies and techniques to actually make sure that their child's going to be safe. And when you have the
Yeah,
suicidal thoughts and saying that you're suicidal, we have to take that serious. That's like, but
that's right. We have to.
but I know as a parent, they hear that a lot. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna do
Yes,
this. You can't do this. And they said, but so now parents are they supposed to just uh, send them to the hospitals or the nearby hospitals all the time? What would be your solution?
well, first of all, let me just interject the fact that the parents are filled with stress because of jobs, because of
Absolutely.
because home issues, family. They're full of stress. They have a lot of stress. So it's not like they're bad parents. It's just that
Absolutely.
they have a difficult time taking the issues that they're dealing with and making time to deal with parenting issues. So what I always recommend to parents is that you have to start this process. Social media is not going away. This whole idea of people texting and skyping and whatever else they call it, that's not going to go away. So we can talk about it as if we want it to change, but it's not going to. So we have to deal within that framework. How do we do that? First, you start with early issues about how you're going to deal with social media. What are you going to do? Well, I think you set the child down well before you give them a phone and talk about what are the criteria? One, for having a phone, and two, what things you can and cannot do, and three, the parent has to have the ability to monitor the phone whenever they want to. As long as that child lives in that house, as long as that child is under your roof and all of those things, they have to abide by those rules. Now, is that going to stop this process? Not as much, but guess what it'll do? The child understands there is a criteria. The child understands that there is rules and regulations, and then you have to sit down and talk about what are the consequences if you don't break those rules. And there has to be something that is reasonable. Now, sometimes taking the phone at night, saying, the child can't have the phone after 12 o'clock or after 10 o'clock or after 9 o'clock, whatever it is, eventually, if they're going to do dirt, they're going to do it before that time. So, but you can monitor it because that's the criteria. I get to monitor that phone whenever I want to, or else you can't have the phone. So now,
Let me interject
yes,
this. And
they're gonna be screaming and hollering
but
but
I like everything that you said because I would done the exact same way. But here's what we have that I face a lot when I do in my life coaching with parents and teens. Right, I face parents who wants to be their friend.
yes,
And being your
don't.
friend, they can't take that phone away. They can't monitor that phone because they want to be their kid buddies, right? They want to be the buddies part of it. And then the charging part about it is that if you're being their buddy and being their friends, I know how what I do with my friends, right? Now you're not going to teach them how to be an adult when they actually grow up. So focus on the fact of being friendly, being friends, but of course by the end of the day, because Carl, you have 8 children, right? You were never their friends. You are a parent and you're friendly to them. That's why you have 8 successful kids. Right?
That's right.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to focus on the friends and your family and the parenting. And I want you to also talk about your background, what you do in the whole 9 yards, so people can understand that in this world, in this field, you are the GOAT. You are the greatest of all time in mental health. So could you please explain?
Well, thank you, John. That's a bit much, but yes, I got into this business a long time ago by accident, basically, because I was always the guy as a child and as a young person, the person that everybody came to get advice or to get to talk to. I was the guy you could talk to. So it just came natural to me for this to be that way. So I got into drug treatment initially because my brother was the manager and he said, "Hey, come work over here." And so immediately I could relate, they could relate to me, and I did good. So then I got into mental health and I didn't have a degree, and so I was still in a management role, but I couldn't move up. So I went back to school, got my bachelor's, and then I couldn't move up. Now I got my master's degree. And so I've been CEO for many years at different places. But my love is helping people work out issues. That's what I'm gifted to do. Now, this is a gift I've been given by God that it's just a natural thing that I can do. That people come to me with a problem, I help them solve it. And so as a result of that, that's how I like to work with families and I like to work with children because we have to start early. You know, you got an 18-year-old that's had a phone since they were 12. You got a problem. You got a problem. You got a hard, you got some hard things to deal with. But if you start early with, here's how we do it, here's what we do, and you're consistent, you're fair, and you're firm. Those three things are what parents lack: being fair, being firm, being consistent. Because, like you said, John, if I'm gonna be your friend, well, so mom put you on punishment for 2 weeks. Hey, you know what? A week's long enough. Come on, let's go. You can go out now. No, you've just ruined that child. And let me tell you this: children love discipline. Now, that might sound crazy. That might sound crazy to you, but they love discipline. They want discipline. They want structure because they have no clue what they're doing. And when you set up structure for them, guess what that equates to? I love you. When you let me do whatever I want to do as a child, you don't care about me. I'm not protected. I don't know what's going to happen to me. So I keep upping the ante to make you finally say, oh, maybe I better do something. See, that's the part that we don't get about children. But if you're fair, you're firm, and you're consistent, are they going to like you? Not for a while. They're not. That's okay, because you're building character. You're building strength. You're building all the strategies they're going to need to live this life successfully. My 8 kids, now, John, you know I'm not going to start talking about them because you know this will take up our whole hour. But they're all successful. They all are degreed, and half of them have advanced degrees. And so, and it's because my wife and I did the work. And I went to school full time. My wife went to school full time. We both raised 8 children. So don't tell me it can't be done. But is it work? It is work.
But let me inject one more thing. And 3 phases: you have to be fair, firm, and consistent. And all your kids knew that what you said did. I mean, coming from a family of 10, right? Same thing. My dad and parents was fair, very firm, and very consistent. You know, if I was on punishment for a month, well, I normally got my butt beat. But anyway, if I was on that punishment for that, I got a double whammy, right? But back in the day, you know, you couldn't spank a kid. Today, different rules. But we're not going to go on that one. That's a whole different subject. But what I see a lot is, and when I work with parent teams, I work with this one specific case. The mom was scared to have a life coach because the daughter might get angry with her.
Yes, that's right.
I said, how old's your daughter? She's 14. And she rules. I says, so in a household, I see is going 3 different ways. You're either the leader, which it should be. You are the friend, which is a challenge, or you're the joker. Now, if the kid leads the household, which a lot of them do, the kid is the leader. The parent either goes from the friend or to the joker. And here's a sad thing about it, and Carl can talk about this as well. When the kid becomes the leader, when she goes the like temper tantrum, and you have to walk around eggshells around her, Carl, how hard is it to be the leader in the household?
It's impossible. So here's the thing, and again, parents aren't stupid. Parents aren't anything, they're good people. That's not the problem.
Absolutely.
The problem is beyond them, their parents, their parents' parents. This thing goes back to generations of how people parent kids. So they're just doing what their parents did.
Absolutely.
I was lucky. My parents, we had 5, 6 boys, 6 brothers. We were wild and crazy. My parents were fair, firm, and consistent. There was views on punishment for 2 weeks. Believe me, there would not be 13 days. It would not be 12 and a half days. It would be exactly. And then guess what we did? At the end of the 14th day, we had a meeting to talk about what have you learned. If you didn't report what you learned, guess what? You might go on for another week because you didn't learn nothing. Well, you need another week to learn something. So it taught us, yes, you're gonna have some problems. You're gonna do dumb stuff, but you gotta understand, you gotta learn from it. Because the next time you can't do that again, because then you're gonna be on punishment for a month. Or in my day, your butt will be red and juicy. So, but uh, but that's
Praise
a
the
whole
Lord.
different life. But I'm telling you, parents today, I tell my children who have children, this is the hardest parenting time ever, ever. This is so difficult because
Now, why do you
social
say that?
media,
Why do you say that?
because social media, and okay, like for instance, did you know how much money your parents made? Did you,
So,
John?
not really. I know that. Not
Not
no.
really. No. Did you know
No.
what all the bills?
Yes.
Did you know what he? You know he went to work. She went to work. You knew the title of their jobs, but your knowledge was this big, just this.
Exactly.
My family, my friends, my cousins. That's all I know. Now I can know anything that I want to know by touching a button. That's all I
True.
got to do. I touch a button.
True.
I speak to what's what's uh what's the woman's name that that you ask questions to?
Series.
Siri. You just ask Siri anything or Google
Siri.
anything.
Google. Anything.
Google
And
and you can get the information. So here's what it's like to me. You take a 5-year-old and you have him watch mom cook breakfast every day for 6 months. And then you tell the 5-year-old, get on the chair, whatever, and cook breakfast. Now he's watched you very closely. Could he do it?
no.
No, no. And that's the issue today. They have all this information. They don't know what to do with it because they don't have the experience to discern between this and that and how to maneuver through it. It's not their fault. They can't do it. But how do you expect a child not to press that button? It's right there in his
Or
hand.
they got more buttons on that crazy phone. I had a one
Yes.
client recently who uh when I checked the phone because the parents never checked the phone, and we saw like how you can check to see where they went. The kid was on Pornhub.
Yes, of
and that
course.
was that was their daily thing. And I'm looking, I'm like, you didn't know, you didn't block this. I didn't know that I should. I didn't know that he was looking at that. And I'm looking at it, and I asked the kid, I said, "How long have you been doing?" He's like 17. I said, "I've known this since I was 13 years old."
Yes, right.
And that's his world of how relationships should be,
And see, right.
based on what he saw.
That's right. And guess what?
And what and
That's exactly
what they
how
don't
they
know,
live.
and what
They
they
don't
don't
have
know,
no clue.
and then what they don't know is that's just entertainment. That's
That's
all
right.
it is. But in their
That's
brain,
right.
this is how it's supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to do things. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like,
And
oh,
then
we
and
have
then why do you think all the rappers are calling their women this and calling their women that and saying what they're gonna do to them and all that? Because social media says that's okay. That's all right. Now we can talk about that, but that's not gonna change. None of
no,
that's
it's not.
going to change. But
It's not going to change.
how do I get my child educated on these things? Well, I did it. My wife and I did it. So I know it can be done.
Absolutely.
It's work. It's a lot of work. Now, most of my kids grew into the era of social media. Now my last five probably were social media right into it. The first three, not so much. But now they learned a lot, and now they teach their children the same things. They make sure the children understand that, and they do the work. They do the work. They all have degrees, so they went to school while
So then,
raising
so
children.
so let me interject a bit. Your 8 children, right? What do they do for a living? Hit them
Well,
down from 8. But
I have school administrators. I have entrepreneurs. I have nurses, and they're all doing something fantastic. And because they knew in my household, in my wife and my household, there was rules. One rule, you had to go to school. The other rule, you had to go to college. You could get married. I don't care when you got married, because that was the rule. You need to get married if you're going to have this or that, the other. You need to get married. So that's okay, but you must have at least a bachelor's degree. You must. There was no other way around that. And I only had one child that tested me. And and again, if you spare me a few more minutes, that the
go ahead.
game was she didn't want to go to college. I don't want to go to college. I said, okay, what are you gonna do? Beat a child because you don't want to go to college? No. What good is that gonna do? So my wife and I decided to strategize about this. We talked about it. We set a plan. And we said, okay, as a united front, okay, you don't want to go to school? All right, then you'll have to go to work and you'll have to pay rent and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So she said, that's okay. Yeah, I'll do it. So, so she went, and every paycheck she came home, we made it so the paycheck that she had to pay us was just slightly more to make her uncomfortable. So, but when she gave us the money, we spent it like we had won the lottery. We just went out and blew it on on shoes and on whatever, and we would put whatever we blew it on. We'd put it on a dining room table and just let it sit there. And so, you know how long that lasted? one semester.
Not long.
She right now is going to be going for her PhD.
Congratulations.
That's a story I love to tell. She's now going to be
Congratulations.
setting for a PhD. So
Congratulations.
you gotta do it outside of the box. You gotta plan. You and your wife, or you gotta sit down and figure this stuff out. You can't do it on the fly because poor planning
Let
prevents.
me interject. Let me interject one more small time, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that you said, I agree with you 110%. As I said, you
Mm-hmm.
trained me. And for you training me, I appreciate it because that's how I ran hospitals and residentials. We worked with the first residential back in Indiana and
Mm-hmm.
Chicago together. So we worked with
Yes.
kids that was from the inner city, from Chicago,
Yes.
from the Cabrini Green, from the DC Fast. We have worked with literally every aspect of, and to me, when I work with adolescents, there's nothing, because Carl, what you bought us back 30 years ago, there was nothing that can compete with anything that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. The
You
cases
better
that you
believe it.
bought us made us grow up into being effective therapists, because we had to be.
Yes.
These
They had
kids
to
had a
be.
completely different rule, different mindset, different. They're from the same area, 45 minutes away, but a
Right.
completely different culture. And the
Yes.
cool thing about that is, man, we turn these kids and I love my boy Dr. Hank, parents around, because we
And
taught them
and and
tools
that's
and
right. And here's the
strategies.
reason why. Because children love discipline. They love structure. It equates that you care about me. And if you care about me, I can go on and thrive and be successful. And that's what you
I agree.
did. You
I
did
agree.
that. And these are kids that sat by and watched their buddy sitting next to him get shot in the head. Die of a drug overdose and living in poverty where there was no running water and all of that. They came there. They were
You're right.
so happy to be there because there
We had
was
so many
structure.
gangs in that place, but we only had
Yes,
one gang. That was our
that's
gang.
right.
We didn't.
That's right.
Anytime they had those gangs, man, no, we don't do that role. I understand the gang world crazily, but that's a different one. But just we only had one, and the reason why we're bringing this up, guys, and we know. Listen to me, you guys. Listen to this. You guys are phenomenal parents, and if you guys are our fathers, I want to say is earlier Happy Dad's Day. Carl, happy Dad's Day
Yeah.
is to use coming up Sunday. And here goes, as men, we don't get the much praise as women do. Women get it
Yeah.
for they get it a month prior and they get all these great gifts. And when we get a card or said, oh, forgot Happy Dad's Day. So anyway, but I'll give you love. What we did was we combined myself and Carl. We got Dr. Horton, we got Dr. Conway. Together we had almost 200 years experience working inside this beautiful field that we have. But
That's
we pretty much
that's
call it
right.
life coaching, and we created a and we're I created a program back 30 years ago that I've been using, and I wrote this phenomenal book, guys. It's called see it a little bit.
Oh
Anyway,
man.
it's called there it goes. It's called Connecting with Your Team. Remember when I
Yes.
wrote this card about 18 years ago?
Yep. That's
Yep.
right.
So the program is based on the book, and of course, it's based on everybody's experience. And here's the thing about it: we want to give a program for parents and teens. Because right
Yeah.
now, in summer's coming up, guys,
Yeah.
these parents, your kids have gaps. But here's what I found out. I've talked to a lot of people at my gym. They want to go to these therapists, X, Y, and Z. But I tell them you only get 5 appointments. Then you have to redo for the next 5. But 5 appointments, if they have some of these issues like what Carl was mentioning about their phones and sending out sex pictures and everything else, 5 sessions is not going to do anything for them, right? So we came
No.
in collaboration with a program. We have 2 of them. One is a 90-day program, to sprint programs. Sprint programs to me between a training program and a development. I want you to break that down to him, please.
What's that now? Oh, the difference between a training
What's a
and
training program and a
yes.
business?
So
And
if you
development.
if you do a training program, now just think about this. You do a training program, you're talking to people who already know this stuff, but you're training them to be better. You're training them to look at it in a different way, those kind of things. But if you're going to develop someone, you're going to go and try to develop a program. What are you doing? You're taking people who don't know these things and having them learn those things. And that's how you do it. So you can't develop someone who's already known, who already knows it. You that's a training. How many times you go to a seminar and they have this training program and everybody in there has no clue about what you're talking about because they don't know. They need to be developed. So we separate those two things and we make them distinctively different. So you get what you need. If you need training, then you need to show that you already know some of these things already, and we can help you get better with those things. If you need to be developed, we can do that too. We can help you grow into that you want to grow into. So those are the two different things.
And I think one of the biggest differences, and thank you for explaining, the biggest difference is that when a training program, we have what we call as a sprint program. It sprints
Mm-hmm.
for 90 days to get you where you need to be at. Because if you have the skill sets, a development program is to develop you, is become having your teams become leaders now. Have them have goals and workshops and seminars. When I was teaching back in the day, some of my kids back 20, 30 years ago said that the stuff you taught me was the same stuff that they learned from Tony Robbins. I said, well, I trained for Robbins. So I just would do the exact same process. But the difference between our programs are because I learned that working with Carl back in Indiana, we work
Yeah.
with the parents and the teens. Because here's a problem. You get Johnny doing great. You understand what's going on. And Johnny goes back in that toxic relationship where the parents have not had no enhanced skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Our program is different because we do a lot of seminars, we do a lot of workshops, we do live programs, we do online, we do whatever it takes to get your child developed. Or if you already have the skill sets, you just need the training part of it. Training part's fine. The training parts to me is more of people who are going from like a senior to going to college because college, from being high school to college, is completely different. Or they're
So
in
you
college, or they're in college and they need some more, so they just need enhancement to actually go to that next level. Because
mm-hmm.
here's what parents have to understand: you can send your kid to the best college possible. If they don't got this up in here, the goals, working out some issues. If they have depression or anger, they don't know how to deal with that stuff. In the
Mm-hmm.
workforce, it's going to be a challenge. About a month ago, I gave a speech at UCI. I have to tell you, these kids were genius. Scholarly program. All of them was amazing. Talked about leadership. Talked about report building skills. Talked about little small stuff that I would go inside this program with, right? And afterwards, the shocking part is that a lot of them they didn't I only taught the basic, Carl. They didn't get it, man. A lot of them was crying because they got so much pressure, from different countries or from their parents right now. They go to UCI. UCI is like a Notre Dame back home. They're part
Mm-hmm.
of the Barclay. Is they're part of the Berkeley program, right? So there is it's intense. But when you get pressure on all that stuff, you don't take care of yourself. You got issues like depression. You're taking medication, or whatever takes place. You don't have no one to actually talk to. It's going to be a challenge. So what
Mm-hmm.
we decided to come together, which I love working with Carl. I love working with Dr. Horton. Dr. Horton, he's a specialist when it comes to substance. addictions, all that stuff. He's completely a genius. Dr. Conway,
Absolutely.
he's amazing. 60 books. Most of his books come on personality and everything else. I mean, these guys are amazing, right? What we want
Yes,
to do
they
is we
are.
want to, I mean, amazing. It's like I get to work with my mentors with this
Hmm.
program, and and I every day by them. Right. Okay. I never. All right. This makes sense. Well, here goes, parents. If you guys want to go further faster, DM me. We'll talk. We'll figure out. We'll explain to you what's going on. We do live programs in 4 different areas. Of course, we will do one in the Irvine, California area. We'll do one where
Hmm.
Carl's at, probably Indiana/Chicago area. We have one in Florida, and we have one in Texas. Right? But we'll
Yes.
also do
Hmm.
live programs. The program is beautiful. It really is. I would love to explain to you guys more about it. But my biggest thing about it is how, because Carl and I, we are what we consider an ultimate um, business growth strategist. Because we run with mental health and clinical, and we can
Yeah.
work with businesses. But I tell
That's
myself on the business side, we have to close the gaps, right?
hmm Now, the
Parents and
other thing
teams,
about
we have gaps to close.
that's right. And during the summer, you have to create a summer structure and a summer
Absolutely.
routine, just like you had
Absolutely.
in school time. There's a routine. You get up at a certain time, you eat breakfast, you blah blah blah, whatever you do. You get to school, you come home, you do homework, blah blah blah. It's a routine and it's a structure. Well, you have to create that structure in the summer now, and it has to be fun and it has to be different than school, but it has to be structured and it has to be a routine still. They can't just go willy nilly. It doesn't have to be so tight because you got to be at school at a certain time. Well, you don't have to be. Time can vary a little bit, but there has to be some structure. There has to be some routine that they know about. Last day of school, all right, now we're on summertime structure and routine. Hey, that's what they do. Oh, September, we on the school structure routine. We know, you know it. So you have to build that for the summer. And that's what we can help you
Absolutely.
do. We can help you do that.
Exactly. It is a structure at home. And also, what we
Yeah.
also do is a level system as well, because it has to be structured. Because think about
Yeah.
it, when your kids are in structure, everything works out well. But if they know that, if they have a level system, they know if they do X, Y, and Z, things are being taken away. But it's consistent, as Carl said, is firm, fair, and consistent. Life becomes much
Yes.
more easier.
That's right.
Hey,
And the
Carl, man, listen, man.
five,
Go ahead, sir.
go ahead.
No, listen to you, man. I mean, look, man, you says a great leader can follow. I'm a phenomenal leader. You're going to say something, sir.
No, no. I didn't know I don't have anything else.
So anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you guys so much. If you guys want to go further faster, send me a DM, send me something. Right now, we're streaming this on LinkedIn. We're streaming
Yes.
this on YouTube, and we're also streaming this on Facebook. If you guys need to go further faster, please let me know, and I would love to come up with a strategy, a program that we have. It's completely off the hook, but as Carl mentioned, which is really a strong one, you got to have structure. Right now, the kids might go to summer school for 3 or 4 hours, but what are they doing after that?
Hmm.
And now mom and dad's working because they have to make some money coming home. What are they
And
doing?
you've got to make those two structures different. They got to
Absolutely.
one has got to be completely with fun, something they can look forward to, and then they know. And it's the difference between work and play. You can't work all the time, and you can't play all the time. You got to
Absolutely.
understand that life is full of both. So you got to do work, go to school, but summertime it's time to play and it's time to have relaxation. But it has to be structured and it has to be a routine, and we can help you do that. And believe me, your kids will love you for it.
And
They really
one
will.
small thing, and as a parent, it would give you enhancement skill set to understand what Johnny or your kids are doing, so you can be 10 steps ahead of them. If you're not 10
Yes,
steps ahead of them, these kids are smart. If you're not 10 steps ahead of them, it's going to be a hard time. And it's going to be double time. You're going to have to do work stuff and then come back home and deal with Johnny or Sue and what's actually taking place. So
yes,
that's why we do both. And now we prepare parents to see what's going to take place so they can have structures and systems in place when that actually happens. All right, Carlos,
hmm
man, I'm not going to hold you long, man, but thank you
All
so much
right,
for your
man.
time,
Thanks a
man.
lot for
I
having
do
me.
appreciate you,
This
man.
was
Appreciate it.
fun.
And I appreciate
All right.
everybody for listening in. And
Thanks
all
for
the
coming.
fathers, happy Father's Day.
Oh, yeah. I can't
All right,
wait.
guys, take care.
We're having a Father's Day golf tournament tomorrow, Sunday. And me and my son and his son are going to be on the team. And we hope to win, bring home the trophy. So that's my day for Sunday. All right.
And I know that you love your golf, so that'll be a beautiful day. All right,
Yes,
guys, man, take care and
indeed.
blessings. Bye for now.
All right, man. Take care.